Hello to everyone watching the channel. We keep it short and to the point. Let's get started. According to source reports and confirmed by global media and OSINT analysts today, April 8, 2026, now a fragile ceasefire has been established between the United States and Iran. It's reported that the foundation for this dialogue is Tehran's 10-point plan, which President Trump has described as a working basis for negotiation. According to publications by Xinhua, Hindustan Times, and Iranian state media, IRIB, the key Iranian demands are as follows. Cessation of aggression, a total halt of U.S. attacks on Iran and its allied groups in Iraq, Lebanon, and Yemen. Troop withdrawal. Sources suggest that the withdrawal of U.S. combat units from the region and a ban on using regional bases for pressure against Iran. Control over Hormuz. Iran retains the right to regulate traffic in the strait under the supervision of its armed forces. Lifting of all sanctions. According to reports, the demand includes the full repeal of primary and secondary U.S. sanctions and UN Security Council resolutions. Compensation fund. Payment for damages caused to Iranian infrastructure during the conflict. Nuclear guarantees. An Iranian commitment not to develop nuclear weapons. Right to enrich. Recognition of Tehran's right to peaceful nuclear energy and uranium enrichment. Regional pacts. Non-aggression negotiations with Gulf states on Iranian terms. Protection of the axis of resistance, extending security guarantees to all forces friendly to Iran. Frozen assets. It's reported that Iran demands the immediate unblocking of all foreign accounts. One of the most resonant details of the plan being discussed in Iranian media is the financial side of controlling the Strait of Hormuz. $64 billion annually. So, according to Iranian television, Tehran intends to charge transit fees for vessel. Reports suggest up to $2 million per tanker. These funds would allegedly go toward a national reconstruction fund. Trump's position is this. In a post on Truth Social, Trump didn't confirm specific figures, but he was quoted as saying cryptically, "Big money will be made. Iran will be able to begin the rebuilding process." So according to analysts, this suggests some form of transit fees is indeed being discussed. Sources emphasize that this is not a final peace treaty, but a 14-day window for negotiations, and it's active for 14 days with an option to extend. Detailed talks are set to begin this Friday in Islamabad, with Pakistan acting as the lead mediator here, because there has to be a mediator. So according to market data, Iran has agreed to coordinated passage for ships during these 2 weeks, causing global oil prices to plunge by 15% on news of the deal. According to statements, though, Prime Minister Netanyahu supports the U.S.-Iran truce, but clarified that it doesn't apply to Lebanon or Hezbollah, where Israel intends to continue operations and bombing them. So, according to experts, Trump accepted this deal to avoid a full-scale world war and stabilize domestic gas prices. However, the points regarding reparations and paid transit through the strait will likely face fierce opposition in Congress. According to reports from the Mehr news agency, several explosions have occurred at an oil refinery in southern Iran shortly after the ceasefire between Iran and the United States was announced. Sources indicate that the cause of these blasts remain unknown at this time. Furthermore, preliminary information suggests that several additional explosions have rocked Siri Island in the Persian Gulf. As with the refinery incident, the cause of these secondary blasts hasn't been determined. Reports from the area describe a situation of high uncertainty, as officials have yet to provide a formal explanation of these events following the start of the truce. According to a statement attributed to the first deputy speaker of the Iranian parliament, Ali Nikhzad, Supreme Leader Mujtaba Khamenei reportedly will not authorize the signing of any agreement with the United States in Islamabad unless Washington officially accepts all 10 of Tehran's conditions. Sources close to the Iranian parliament suggests that this hardline stance is intended to signal that Iran will not compromise on its core demands despite the current ceasefire. According to reports from Tehran, Nikhzad emphasized that the 10-point plan remains a non-negotiable framework for any lasting settlement. While the U.S. administration has described the plan as a working basis, it is reported that the Iranian leadership considers this full acceptance of these terms, including compensation and the lifting of all sanctions, as a prerequisite for a formal signature. According to reports detailing the current state of diplomatic discussions, U.S. Vice President J.D. Vance has suggested that negotiations regarding the conflict in Ukraine have essentially come down to bargaining over a few square kilometers of territory. In statements attributed to the vice president, Vance signaled a shift towards prioritizing a cessation of hostilities over prolonged territorial disputes. According to his remarks, he posed a direct challenge to both sides of the conflict. I would like to say to both the Russians and the Ukrainians, is this worth the loss of hundreds of thousands of additional young Russians and Ukrainians? Obviously no, but as the saying goes, it takes two to tango.
What I would say to both the Russians and the Ukrainians is, we're talking about haggling at this point over a few square kilometers of territory in one direction or another. Is that worth losing hundreds of thousands of additional Russian and Ukrainian young men? Is that worth an additional months or even years of higher energy prices and economic devastation? We think the answer is clearly no, but it takes, two to tango.
Sources suggest that these comments reflect the administration's broader push to bring both parties back to the table immediately, regardless of these minor territorial shifts. It's reported that Vance's position emphasizes the human cost of the war over the strategic value of small parcels of land, though observers note that achieving a mutual agreement remains the primary obstacle and has been for years now. According to Iranian state television, SNN TV, Iran has reportedly launched attacks targeting Kuwait and the United Arab Emirates. Reports from the network suggest that these strikes were initiated in response to alleged aerial bombardments of Iranian oil facilities that occurred shortly after the 14-day ceasefire was announced. Sources within the region indicate that the situation escalated after a reported strike on Iran's Lavan Island refinery Wednesday morning. Following this, it's reported that waves of drones and missiles were launched at vital energy infrastructure in the Gulf. In the UAE, according to the Ministry of Defense, air defense systems were actively engaging incoming threats. Residents reported hearing several loud explosions, which officials attributed to the interception of ballistic missiles and UAVs. In Kuwait, army statements suggest that multiple drones were intercepted. However, unconfirmed reports indicate that some may have impacted near power stations and desalination plants, potentially causing significant infrastructure damage. According to some analysts, these incidents represent a fragile start to the truce, while sources in Tehran suggest that the Revolutionary Guard remains on high alert, warning that any perceived miscalculations by the US or its regional partners will be met with immediate retaliation. According to statements from the Israel Defense Forces, the IDF, and multiple media outlets, the Israeli military has reportedly launched its most extensive wave of airstrikes against Lebanon since the current conflict began. Reports from the ground suggest that the operation was characterized by its extreme intensity and broad range of scope and targets. It's reported that Israeli forces struck approximately 100 targets across Lebanon within a narrow 10-minute window. Sources indicate that the strikes focused on the capital city of Beirut, the Bekaa Valley, and various locations in southern Lebanon, a lot of them civilian areas. According to the IDF, the coordinated assault hit Hezbollah command centers, weapons storage facilities, and intelligence headquarters, but a lot of targets have been confirmed to have been civilian buildings, some synagogues, some other structures. Observers note that this massive escalation occurred on Wednesday, April 8, 2026, just hours after the US-Iran ceasefire was announced. According to statements from Prime Minister Netanyahu, while Israel has backed the broader regional truce, sources suggest the military considers Lebanon to be excluded from the agreement, allowing operations against Hezbollah to continue unabated. According to reports regarding the assets recently detained in Hungary, a complex investigation is unfolding involving high-value currency shipments. Government spokesperson Zoltan Kovacs has claimed that armored vehicles belonging to Oshad Bank were found to be transporting newly printed euro and US dollar banknotes that had reportedly not yet entered general circulation. Sources suggest these funds are being linked to a network of several banks, including Ukraine's state-owned Oshad Bank, as well as various financial institutions based in Poland and Gibraltar. It's reported that the evidence gathered by Hungarian authorities includes a controversial video recording. According to claims by the Hungarian government, the footage allegedly shows a former Major General of the Security Service of Ukraine, or SBU, forging documents inside a gas station restroom, while his associates purportedly discuss corruption-related payments nearby. The seized cargo, which investigative reports specify includes approximately 40 million USD, 35 million euros, and 9 kilograms of gold, remains under the control of Hungarian authorities. While the Ukrainian side maintains the transport was a routine interbank transfer from Austria, officials in Budapest suggest that the origin and ultimate destination of these assets remain unclear. Thanks to everyone who watched this video all the way through and subscribed to the channel. See you in the next episode.